they think that we can't do it. We can. And so he actually partners with somebody who would beat him in a case, which I thought, so smart. Like, I'm like,
Yeah.
that's so something I would do. I'd be like, who's better than me and how can I make them my friend? Like,
Hi, I'm Cade,
and I'm Kit
and we're real people.
doing real reviews.
And today we are starting a new section.
Yeah, we are sponsored by a clothing company called Local Laundry. We are continuing with Stories That Stick here in season 3, and we're in a new theme.
Yes, rags to riches.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. How did you feel about this theme?
We picked some really good movies.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I think
we
it's
did
good. Mm-hmm.
Also interesting, they're true stories. So
Yeah. I think that it was interesting that we were like, if it's gonna be rags to riches,
gotta be real.
it's gonna be real. Like it's gonna be some people that we believe in. Yeah.
Well, you obviously picked first. What'd you choose
I
first?
chose Erin Brockovich, and which is in one of my top fave movies. I think especially for a depiction or on a biopic on a real story. I think I love different elements of this, especially where it starts out with like a woman's story, a single mom story, and I was raised by a single mom, and so I think that I remember watching and being like, look at this butt kicker, like, and she has a baby and she's, not accepting that this will be her life and she wants to make a change. But then I also love that it was a rags to riches story to the people that she was looking to help were, I wouldn't necessarily say poverty, but like, they're struggling, their health was struggling, they were being lied to by big corporations, and she wanted to break that wall down for them and get them interesting settlements. And even how she got to work for she was working for a lawyer because the lawyer didn't win her case where she was like hit in a car and an insurance case, and and she really needed that to like heal and get better, and she goes to lawyers and she's like, well, you need to give me a job then. And no, she's not a paralegal, no education, no professional wardrobe, no anything. And she's like, I'm going to work hard. And
here we are.
And here we are. Yeah.
Well, I was very surprised that I have missed this movie out of, a Julia Roberts kind of.
I know.
Like.
You didn't know about this movie?
I knew about the movie. I just don't know why I've never sat and watched.
Because you were like movie. Lawyer biopic. Maybe no.
I don't know. I don't know how I missed it. But yeah, with Julia Roberts, very cool. She definitely fun fact, she this is the first movie that a woman got paid as much as Julia Roberts did for it. It was something like 1.2 million or something like that.
See, she broke rags to riches there too.
Yeah.
Yeah. There was like a really big timeline where women were not being paid as much in their leading roles. And even currently how call sheets are set up, that they always do male lead first, even if the female lead is present longer. Yeah, so there's still some work to do, film industry.
All right, well, let's break down the movie. I obviously got into it a bit because it's very hard not to in this story, because it's just a very cool story from the get-go.
Yeah, I think, Do you want to start with like kind of opening scene, or do you want to start with like the, I guess, plot?
Where you want to start? Your movie.
I mean,
the end. Let's start with the ending and work our ways backwards and see if it makes sense.
I thought it's really clever how they start. Yeah, I mean, at the end.
They win a case.
The end. And now she's a millionaire, both as an actress and in the movie. I love how in the beginning, they're showing her in like these kind of negative habits. Like, you remember she was like outside. She's like, she's smoking, she's like struggling with like job interviews. She's she's talking a little bit about like that she was like Miss whatever she was, like from a pageant, and she thought that meant she was going to be special, and then she had kids, and so she had this big gap on her resume, and she was job hunting, she was struggling, she just left her third child's like, father, and leaving that job interview where they very obviously were not going to give it to her. Didn't matter that she was like pretty and a go-getter and things like that. They're like, no, like we need like these credentials. And that's when she gets hit by a car. How awful, she's already job hunting. And then, she gets this lawyer and he's like, it's a sure thing. And it doesn't happen for her. And she talks a little bit like, I just want to be a good mom. I just want to be a good person. And they use the fact that she has this gap on her resume, that she, was they paint this picture for her when she's in court to win this insurance case that she isn't a good person and that she's failing in life and this is a payday and that she did it on purpose to drive in front of this Mercedes, which is wild because she had very obvious injuries and she didn't win the case. And I feel like it couldn't be more of like a down on your luck, like kind of start.
Right.
For rags to riches, yeah.
I mean, for me, I think, and especially throughout the whole movie, like the costume design or the way she's dressing in the movie depicts her in kind of like
promiscuous way.
Yeah, like she's very loud with her clothing and like it's not
she's in her sex appeal
with it. It's what makes her feel sexy, but definitely you can tell kind of throughout those opening scenes that everyone's also judging her based on her physical appearance with everything, as well as like throughout the whole movie.
Yeah,
that's part of it, but I think she has some great punchlines in the midst of it. And she doesn't change herself through that. So.
I agree. I do love that about her because I think I love when I see women owning their sexuality. Like she had a baby under one. She was snatched and she was wearing like a sheer top and she's like, yeah, like this is
right
how it is. And I watched her doing an interview on some of the outfits and she was like, the amount of stuff that's holding that blouse together to make sure that it just would stay right there over like the little bra that I had under it. She's like, it was a whole morning. So I think it's great. I can imagine like putting that together and then, then moving on to a movie set and acting in it as well. And so I thought, very cool. I also think interesting in that timeline because this is a true story. So like, why would this be such a prevalent conversation? It obviously was a conversation, right? This was like a part of her being in these office spaces or trying to find her place like that. Clothing was like this like barrier of entry. And so, yeah, it really wasn't until she kind of like won over people with her personality and her like gumption that they could like see past it. And how sad,
yeah.
Well,
I mean, that's how she ended up getting her job because she basically told her lawyer that lost this case for her that he better offer her a job because she needs the money
and I need the money and I'm not going to beg, but I'm going to work really hard. And if I suck in a week, then, let me go. And he's like, all right. And then she's wonderful. The case. Can we talk about how she finds the case?
Yeah.
It was like a cold case. And she was just filing it and reorganizing like a filing system because she had a pretty base level like gig.
Yeah.
And she's like, why are there medical records with legal papers? And she's trying to ask the girls at the office, like, why are these things together? Like trying to understand. And they were like, just file it, honey. Like, if you don't know the answer to that, like, then, you're working at the wrong place. And she's like, but why are there medical records? Like, she like wouldn't hear them. She's like, I don't understand. And then so she like took the time on her own to like open it up. I would be so curious in chatting with the real Erin Brockovich, like what happened that when she saw those papers or like what after that she felt called enough to be like, I'm going to look into this on my own. She has no history in this area, except that she had a medical like practice because she was in a car accident. I can't see how else like she would want, like, why would she care? You know what I mean? About like what's filed inside. She's earning her paycheck. Why? Yeah. What are your thoughts? Do you think she felt like?
I don't know. That's a great take on it. I don't think I ever thought that of like why she dug into it.
Like, why did
Just
she?
kind of like was curious. Maybe it's the curiosity, willingness to learn.
Yeah.
As well as, that I think that plays into this as far as not having a background in this field at all, and her just taking the gumption of like wanting to learn, wanting to like solve this problem. And like, throughout the movie, she's like collecting water samples. She's talking to people.
Yeah.
As well as I think they also responded to her significantly better than anyone else because she was a real person and really cared about them as a person.
Yeah, I think that, and we see it later when they bring in some partner lawyers, that like any type of elitism was not landing. But because she was so unapologetically herself in how she went about getting information and just wanting to ask questions and cared, she's like a person with a really great heart. She just drove out on her own to go investigate this, to be like, hey, how come there's medical records with your lawsuit? And so if you haven't seen Erin Brockovich, the story is that there is a plant, and they didn't seal off the water, and the elements that are in the water, there's a good version and a bad version of this element, and they pretended that it was the good element, but it wasn't. It was the type of thing that would environmentally and physically hurt you, your children, generations to come, the land, the water, all of these things. And they're like, but we have this like beautiful element that's inside the water that's going to make everything like even healthier and better. And they went to town hall to like kind of let everybody know. But because they had printed false pamphlets to like talk about this thing, the way that statute of limitations is in America is that like if you have a year of like knowledge, then after that you can't like sue or go after it. So that giving them the false knowledge and then letting a year run.
Well, I mean, I don't necessarily know if it was false. I think that they conveniently left out.
They left out the negative. They only talk about the good elements and not the...
Yeah. They just notified them that there was
this element
in their water and just didn't really discuss further down the line.
And left.
And then, the company paid for medical bills and started purchasing people's lands and kind of brushed it under the rug.
Yeah, turned it into real estate deals. And which, again, strange medical records, real estate deals. Obviously, something is up.
Yeah.
But not enough for like, because when she chatted with the people, they were like, well, no, like that plant, they care about us and they pay for my doctor. And she's like, why would that plant pay for your doctor?
Yeah,
random
absolutely.
stay-at-home mom. Like, and she's like, I guess that is weird. But until somebody brought it up in like a plain way. Yeah, I think that super interesting. And it as they go through trying to collect the information on this case, it's a very small law firm and private practice, a few assistants and paralegal, one kind of lawyer, and then a front desk, right? And they're up against a massive corporation and there are stacks and stacks of lawyers. And we watch as she starts to uncover more and more the level of lawyer that starts to like visit this little space, like goes from there. So it starts out with like this very young kid who has like a cap of like $250,000 that he can offer, sits down and he's like nervous and very obviously new. And he's like, I can offer you this. And the other lawyers are trying to negotiate. And he's like, this isn't a negotiation. He's like, I thought it was. And he's like, well, I'm only authorized to give this amount. So I can't do it. And he's like, they think I'm a joke. And that kind of fires him up more to like be like, we're going to get some partners. We're going to get some money. We're going to like get some backing to like really fight these guys because they think that we can't do it. We can. And so he actually partners with somebody who would beat him in a case, which I thought so smart. Like, I'm like, that's so something I would do. I'd be like, who's better than me and how can I make them my friend? Like, I really want to go after this. And because they do that, their approach is different. So we see this like gap as she's kind of going through, they get this new partnership. She doesn't think it's a good thing because she doesn't like how they're approaching the people because she cares about the people. And she has, it looks like in the movie, a photogenic memory. And she is, can remember everybody's like names, ages, phone numbers, their diseases, their symptoms, their children, all these things. and the new legal team is coming out with like their notepad and pen and their suits, and people aren't responding to them or liking it. And she doesn't like it. And so he's like, here's, he gets her a new car. He's like, hire a house cleaner, get a nanny, stop using just like the neighbor guy.
Yeah.
Let's really go after this professionally. Like, this is a good thing. And so she warms up to learning how to work with them and kind of showing them her value, which I thought, she does it in a crass kind of way.
Yeah, I was about to say that it's more of like, again, she's faced with the challenge of people not thinking that she can do the work.
Yeah.
And so then she, has these kind of like crass kind of comments back to them, which is quite hilarious, and they land pretty well.
I wonder if the real Erin was like that. Like, do you wonder?
Yeah, I wonder.
Do you think she sat down and was like, and made these comments about, since she's so underestimated and she's over sexualized, like she just leans into that. And
my thing in it though is the sacrifices she had to make to like get this over the line. Like she had to collect 600 and something signatures, and like if they didn't, it couldn't move forward if they, just missed one.
Yeah.
And the sacrifices that like she had to make with her kids and the relationship that she had start forming with the neighbor, like to actually make that, and how true that is kind of in these stories of, moments where they actually had to like keep going even though it got even harder.
Yeah. And they needed a smoking gun. They needed a piece of paper that acknowledged from corporate they knew that this negative element was like leaking into the groundwater. And the only reason why she found that piece of paper was because she had built enough rapport and kept showing up and kept being good to people, that this person who had that piece of paper and he was a worker at the plant who had been ordered to shred it all. He kept a couple. And he approached her at a bar, and it's creepy, and he's a very weird dude, but his cousin had just passed away because of working at this plant, and he's like, I have this paper, and she's like, oh my gosh, like, and if she hadn't been who she was, that was really the nail in the coffin, like, that's what they needed to have, and so, I think that that's probably incredibly true. How often do you end up, because you're pushing forward, because you're, continuing to be kind, continuing to show up, that like this little piece of magic kind of shows up because of that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, even in the movie, you begin to think, or at least I did, like, is she getting sick because she's there so much, or is she getting sick from like just being exhausted from working so much? A bit of both, because you're like, oh, she's hanging out there, she's learning, she's in the community so much. Is she actually getting sick, or working herself to exhaustion?
And and that's another area where she's getting judged. She's being judged for not being present as a mom. She's being judged, which, anyone who's worked in corporate Canada, corporate America, climbing a corporate ladder, like there's some judgment on like how you delegate your time and how you delegate parenting. And sometimes it's just not available for you to tuck your kids in at night, and you have to move forward because of the type of work that you do. And so who's facing that?
Touching on that, I think that that's gender focused. I don't think that people think the same thing when a man works so much.
Things like that,
yeah, those sorts of things from my perspective. Do you get that?
I would say that it's interesting in dialogue or conversation, and because I am married with children, and it's interesting because I'm asked more about work-life balance. My husband is never asked about work-life balance.
Yeah.
It's never a point of question or conversation, and he's more. We use the word domestic. He's just more domestic. He likes to cook. He loves doing like tuck-in, like, bath time. Like he loves to read to the kid. Like he's very family focused. He's always been kind of a family man since I met him. And you would think because of his personality, because that's what is tip of tongue, it's what he wants to talk about, that would be a point of conversation. No.
Never.
No.
Yeah. Interesting.
No.
Kind of shows throughout this movie as well. Yeah.
Yeah, I wonder if that's something that will change over time. I can tell you that it's interesting depending too on school dynamics, like different styles of family and where that comes in. But it isn't often that I'll see like dads at pick up or drop off and those types of things. And when they are there and they see another dad, they're like, okay, like brothers, like it's like me and you, man, like make it happen. And so, yeah, I guess it's probably there's room for that, but it's interesting, just kind of part of
Interesting, because this
part
movie's
of the
like
art.
what, in the early 90s? Still happening.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Do you know that it's only been 50, I think it was 50 years this year that women could get a mortgage without their husband signing off on it if they were married? They could go to the bank and get a mortgage on their own. Only 50 years.
Wild.
I know. It's kind of wild, right? So she continues. He starts getting, so she's dating a gentleman who's like helping her with the kids, and yes, she has a housekeeper and these types of things, but he starts getting, I think, tired. And so he's like, you are taking a long time. And so near the end, they do win the case. And it's one of the largest, accomplished lawsuits. And they go into the place where she's sitting down with each of the people and she's saying like, hey, like, yes, they've given us a number for the group and for individual families. And it's this large amount. She brings him to show, hey, I know that you sacrificed too. You had trade-offs. You had to make choices to like hang out and do childcare while I was doing this because you chose me and this family. But I want you to see like what the work did. And so she brought him to one of her favorite families that she had developed like a close relationship with and got to announce how many millions of dollars they were getting, which was very cool.
Yeah, I thought the ending was funny too because she just started in on her boss at the time of like talking about how much value she's added and all of these things, and she's just going on and on, basically berating him, which is quite funny. And he ends up giving her a check for $1 million, $2 million, $1 million at the end, as like a bonus. And then she's like, "What? Thank you," and then like that's the end. Yeah.
I thought it was good too because he's like, I wanted to give you a more appropriate check. And she's like, listen here, because she's so used to it being a negative, and he's like. It was a positive, and she was working on another case of similar aspects. And what I love about this Rags to Riches, again, it's like she got to win financially. That partnership grew in those law firms, so she's working in a large law firm. She's gotten the respect and notoriety that she deserves. She's helped these other families, and now she's going to go and do more. And again, it's not simple, but she's given her children this like greater life than certainly than the car accident insurance would have given them, right? And I think that the whole story and why I love it is because it wasn't just like this is something that happened and then it ended, Rags to Riches, right? Like they won the lottery at the end. It was something that she could continue to go and help other people. And I know that I'm of the mindset of like, if you give a good person a lot of money, they continue to do a lot of good. And so she could do that for these other families that could then go build stronger communities, stronger relationships. And it's a very cool story. And
nice.
I just think she's it's so funny because Pretty Woman was around the same time. I'm like, why did she get all these judgy characters?
Right.
Like just people judging her for being a babe. Like, listen here.
Right. What did you rate this movie?
I got an 8.
Okay.
Yeah.
I rated it an 8 as well. I think I agree with you as far as the point on kind of building that wealth and continuing to spread that. Very cool.
It is. Yeah, it's a great story.
Yeah. Erin's still alive. She's still
kicking butt, doing
things. Yeah.
I mean, yeah. What a just incredible like person that just wanted to do better.
I think so. I think it would be interesting to interview her at some point.
Oh, I know.
And then get her take on the movie. Like,
yeah, especially because they did a great job of like taking elements. They like Erin Brockovich as like the character. Julia Roberts didn't try to move like her, talk like her.
Right.
She got to play like her perspective on it. So I'd be curious, like the real Erin, like if she's like, I didn't do that.
Right. God, she's like, I did not dress like that.
Could you imagine? She's like, I was in pantsuits. I don't know what they're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's good to kind of, I guess, think about depictions on biopics and ones that, because I think it was Natalie Portman that played Jackie O in something, and she studied her mannerisms, the way that she spoke, like to a T, so that she could actually like become this very well-known person. But when you're playing somebody that people didn't know,
True.
you get to do your take on it. And so I'd be curious, like, if Julia Roberts interviewed Erin to like kind of find out her mindset.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. That's a wrap.
That's a wrap.
Thanks for watching. If you are watching us on YouTube or you're listening on a podcast, we are anywhere that you can find podcasts. That's Apple and Spotify. And if you're watching on a broadcast channel, then just continue on. The next episode will be right up.
All right. Bye, guys.